Good morning. Uh, um, as a um, as a complete of a body of a practice, or I can say body of the complete Dharma, it is a necessity to have a. It's normally we use as a virtue as a beginning, virtue as a middle, and a virtue as an end, which is mean the virtue as a beginning mean the beginning of is the intention or motivation. What reason we are listening Dharma, So that is a if we listening Dharma for purpose of a mundane benefit like a earthly concern or some kind of temporary, happiness, like in next life become rich or high realm or something, then those are basically as a temporary benefit. Why? Because from this practice of the Dharma, if you have that intention, then you may achieve that. You may born to the, reborn to the human realm or next life, or may reborn to the God realm, or maybe become a powerful or rich or whatever mundane, qualities. But once we have that, then that is the final result. So that reason, no more other benefit can gain. It's not tension is so that way we need virtue as a beginning, as a good intention. Then call the virtue as a middle. Say then practice. Make sure we are doing the actual practice with the good, meaningfully. So any Dharma, we citing one single mantra. If we do with the supportive of the called the emptiness and great compassion, then it will bring to the great essence. If we do Dharma practice without the support of the emptiness and compassion, it will not bring to the great essence, which is a great essence mission or meaningful nirvana. So that way we must listen, contemplate, meditate the Dharma with the supported by those two, what called the emptiness and compassion. Then end of the practice, whatever we do is supported by the, so that is then become a virtue as an end. So we must dedicate it to unsurpassable enlightenment, not a temporary benefit. So these three must support any kind of a Dharma or engaging into the Dharma. So that way, this is I think normal any kind of Dharma practice. What we want to do, we must know those three. So that reason, actually, Lord Kamboba said, knowing to how to do Dharma practice is more important than just doing Dharma practice. Because if we don't know how to practice the Dharma, sometime our doing Dharma practice can become wrong way. It may take the wrong directions. Like if you want to go to somewhere, you must know the road. Not good enough to learn how to step. So Dharma practice isn't like your step, taking step. But which direction you have to go is knowing how to practice Dharma. By taking step, not necessarily we will reach to the where we want to go. Because if you choose the wrong path, if you choose the wrong path and take a step on that path, you will get further and further and further from your destination. So that reason, I think we have to find the right path. What is the right path? Is those practice of the Dharma supported by those three, virtue as a beginning, virtue as a middle, and a virtue as an end. Then even we do small amount of a practice, like a recitation of one mantra, have a great meaningful. If we do those three without, practice without any kind of those three, then even we do perfectly, it never become meaningful. So that reason, first we must know what is the how to practice the Dharma. So you must know about those three virtues. Okay, so with this, short preliminary practice, now we go continue on the book called Dhamaraja's what called Jewel Treasure of Advice. I think we finished last Saturday, number 15. Today is number 16. So from 100 advice, now it's a number 16. So said, sense objects are like the filthy mug. They have no essence, not even in their smallest part. Therefore, you should generate the revolution and contaminate. This is my heart of advice. So I think first is you have to know that what is the sense of object. Sense object is talking about the eye sense, form is object, ear sense, sound is the object, nose sense, smell is the object, and a tongue sense, what call this, a taste is the object, and the body sense as a touch is the access, what called the object. So those 5 objects are like a filthy mug, because filthy mug, I think it's basically, if you know how to use them, then it is really good for fertilizing, to making grow vegetable really good way. So that way it's really good. But if we become too much on that, then it will only bring to the misery from the filthy mug. So similarly, some degree of those sense object necessity to survive. I'm not saying it's a forever, completely cut off them, because we need some, but when we involve too much on that, then it become only misery. So see, this is we need to find a way to how keep the balance on that. So they said that they have no essence. What does this mean that they have no essence? Mean that they cannot give you truly happiness. We rely on the form, sound, smell, taste, touch to try to find the true happiness. But true happiness cannot give from them. They are, never be so helpful. It's not true. They are helpful. They can use for sustaining our body so that we can use them some sense we need. But if you're thinking, you will find the happiness from them, then you are wrong, because filthy mug is more you disturbed, more disgusting. If you not disturb them, they are okay, not that bad. So more we disturb them, become a more problem, more disgusting or more smelling. So similarly, if we involve too deeper attachment on those sense object, then more we attach on them, bigger suffering will come from there. So that way, I think we have to find. So therefore, you should generate the revulsion. First said revulsion. Revulsion mean fall of it. Okay, without the knowing false of it, we cannot, abandon them. Like a butterfly. If butterfly know the lamb will kill their life, they take their life, they will never go there, even it's beautiful. They don't know the lamb is dangerous for them. That way, butterfly fly to the lamb. When they become too close, and it become what called cause them to lose in their life. So if butterfly know the dangers of the lamb, then they will never go near there. Same way, those like fish, if he or she knew the hook is a danger for their life, they will never try the taste of that whatever put on the hook. They didn't know. That way they are attractive on that taste. So because of that attractive on the taste, they caught on the hook. So same things we didn't know the false of five sense object. So that way for us so attractive, the five sense object. When those five sense object make us miserable or suffering, it's become too late. So that way we have to know false of a five sense object. When we know the false of a five sense object, then we have a sense of a revulsion comes. Revulsion means like feel like disgusting. No matter how beautiful it is, you will never go. Like a snake, it's a look beautiful. Yeah, snake color is really beautiful. But we knew snake have a really deadly poison, so no one dare to go near the snake. So that is what when we stay away from the snake, that is what does revulsion mean. Detaching. Make sense? Then said contentment. Contentment mean we have to learn how to content or how to satisfy with what we have, because our desire of those sense objects have no limitation. This is it, especially in the human beings. Human beings, even we get a whole universe, still not enough. We want more and more and more. No matter how much we get, never become enough. So there was one story called Okay, first translate that one, then I'll tell you the story. So there was a king called Ngalanu. Ngalanu is a as ancestor of Buddha. So in his previous life, one day he was going through the road. He saw Buddha Kashyapa and Buddha Debamgara. Sorry, I think Buddha Debamgara. He saw the Buddha Debamgara. So he had a handful of grain. So when he saw the Buddha, he offered to the Buddha. So when he threw to the Buddha the offering, and four land in the Buddha's begging bowl, and two dissolve at the Buddha's heart from the handful of grain. Only 6 of them. So then later he was born as a this Shakya clan. There's called the Kodama clan, and um, he became slowly he became the universal monarch, like rule over the whole the Jambudvipa. Then slowly merging his army to the other 3 continent, south, the north, west, north, and east continent. And he overruled all those 4 continents, and he want to rule over the demigod. So he also took over the demigod, and his eyes gazing to the god realm. So because of his power, King Indra had to share the ruling power of the god realm with the half and half with this king, the human king called the monarch, universal monarch. So one day there was a demigod's attack to the god realm, and King Indra couldn't defeat the demigod, but this king Ngalanu, he defeated immediately demigod. So he thought, I'm better than King Indra. Why I'm sharing, throne with him? I should be take over whole the, god realms. So because of the his, ambition or whatever called the desire of want more and more, but his merit is not support. When he have a thought over the whole god realm, he fall down on the earth and he died, and he born in the hell realm. So that is showing us we never be satisfied, no matter how much we gain. That is I think pretty much every human being have here. So in the Tibetan, we said people who want to really rich, they even hesitate to eating food, because when you eat food, you have to spend money. So they don't want to spend their money, So that is showing us a human naturally, not everyone, but generally, we have no sense of contentment. We always want more and more. So if you see, sense object are beauty, then you will have a revulsion and contentment. Like you working for the garden, okay, vegetable garden. Vegetable garden need some kind of filthy mug to make a vegetable better grow. It's a fertilize need. If you working on there, first of all, you have revulsion of put all the protection, glove, nice. You're not going to just walk there. You will have a really good protection your body. And second of all, you only go there when it's need. You not hang out there, around that filthy mug. So only go there when you need to pick up them. So even you go there with picking up them and put it on the field of the vegetable, you will not what's going on out there? You will not, have too much desire on this. So that way, I think it's not, I don't think so here saying is a completely cut up the sense object. If we completely cut up the sense object, we will not survive. But you have to use much as you need, for the sustaining the life and sustaining the your body. But even you using them, you need a sense of revulsion and contentment. More important is this one. Revulsion means know the false of a sense object. Contentment means that you see only necessity when you really need. This is my heart's advice. So this is what it means that my understanding. Even the Lord Buddha, who one of the example of how to cut the attachment, how to renounce from the worldly life, and also Milarepa. First, actually, from the beginning, they went through the really extreme, cut up completely, like food, clothes, everything, completely cut up. Like Milarepa did 9 years, Lord Buddha did 6 years. Then later they said, actually going too extreme way is also not healthy, So we must do gradually, try to stop, slow down. Then from there too, and slowly cut. One day we can, completely cut off. So certain things, maybe certain things is better to just completely cut off. So I don't know, but point is we're using for the revulsion, revulsion and contentment is not really saying is you must cut up completely. I don't think so, because long as we have this body, we have to take care of this body, so need necessity things. So I think lots of Asian culture, if you leave the food in the plate leftover, not eating complete, I think some area is a really bad manner. So that is showing us take much as you need, don't take more than you need. Because sometimes people have a habit of like especially when go to the buffet restaurant, they take like so much from they took so much, only they can eat a little bit, and rest of them things throw in the trash. So our holiness also always said in the monastery, he never said to don't eat too much or this and that. He said, eat much as you want, but when you're taking on your plate, take much as you need, So not take more than what you need, more than your stomach can take. Because if you take more than you need, it's going to waste it. We wasted lots of things because we are lack of a contentment. In the America said, eye is bigger than stomach. So our eyes are really big. I think so. This is a part of the how to be, discipline ourselves to, how to control our desire, how to control our this. I don't know what it's called. Yeah, I think desire or attachment. Okay, now number 17. Birth, old age, sickness, and death are like fish struggling on the hot sand. They are fears, torment, and suffering of transmigration are intolerable. Apart from the Dharma, nothing will help. This is my heart's advice. So, in the samsara, we are tortured by the four great suffering. It's called the suffering of the birth, suffering of the old age, suffering of the sickness, and suffering of the death. So if you want to learn this detail on this four suffering, you should read the Jewel Ornament of the Liberation. There's all those suffering really detailed. Basically, those suffering, maybe we don't need to learn from the book. We experience this every day. Aging, so you can see how how much changing your body from youth to getting older, smooth skin to become a wrinkle, and strength to weak. Those all is because of the old aging. So aging is no one can stop actually. Then not just old aging, also we get a lot of sickness. More we get older, more and more sickness comes. Why? Because our element is becoming weaker. So that way, those sickness can attack easier. Then finally will come the death. So this one, no one can escape from those. As long as we are in the samsara, we cannot escape from those experiences for great sufferings. So at the time of the death, so especially at the time of the death, experiences like a fish struggling on the hard sand. When you put on the fish on the hard sand, they really struggle. So much suffering. It's like all the thousands of needles is stuck on the body. Same, that kind of suffering. That kind of suffering can experience. Similarly, when we are dying, then there's a suffering called the fears, torment of suffering of transmigration. This suffering of transmigration sometimes is used as a suffering of interruption, or sometimes they translate as a pain of dying. So this one is actually it's called the cutting the vettle. Something is interrupting the continuing. So how to interrupt is like sometimes people die with a accident or weapons, and they cut or something, that way we die. Our nerve, our part of the body damage, cut, that way we die. Suffering of the interruption is like our element are dissolved. When element are dissolved, then continuing of this elements as a kind of stopping. So when it is stopped, then our all the vital point of body's vital point is a kind of like a dying, slowing down. So that way it's called the suffering of a interruption, or sometimes it's called the interruption of a life. So it's a dissolution, nature death. It's called the dissolution of the elements, like earth dissolved to the water dissolved to the fire dissolved to the wind dissolved to the mind. So that time, and we stop breathing. So that time, especially people who not practice Dharma, people who waste whole life with a meaningless activity. At that time, and they feel so empty, they feel so lonely, they feel so hopeless. And not just only suffering of dying, also suffering of loneliness, suffering of hopeless. It can feel that at that time. So how we can protect from that kind of a interruption suffering? Because no one, first of all, we have to say, no one can stop happening that one, long as we are born. No one can stop death, long as we are born. So no one can stop the transmigration or interruption or dying. This is there's no power exists that someone can stop this one. But there are way to we can die peacefully without the sufferings, as a by our practicing Dharma. So when we practice Dharma, at that time of the death, you feel like you are with all the Buddha and Bodhisattva. So that way you feel not lonely. And you are dying with the richness of the good merit. So that way you are really kind of like dying without anything. So you die with hope. You die with joy, actually, because now you become closer to the Buddha. You become closer to the Pure Land, Buddha Amitabha or any kind of Buddha what you're praying. So that way, we die with the richness of the merit, richness of the wisdom, and so never feel like a lonely, never feel like a hopeless, and never feel like an empty hand. So then you will die with joyfully, because whatever you do, Dharma, those all you carrying with you. If you waste whole your life collecting the material things, when you die, you cannot take any of those. Even your own jewelry, you cannot take. Forget about the jewelry. Even your own body, you cannot take. So if we waste our life for only try to build this life's material and name, at the time of the death, and we will be miserable, So how do we die with happily, joyfully, and smiley, without the worrying? I say, if we do something good in this life, if we been our life meaningfully, if we been our life with a something positive way to live, righteous way, then we die with a richness. So then we don't have this suffering of transmigration. So actually, like my mom, she saw many people dying, and she always said, can tell that because normally we know the most of people each other. So that way, people who been all the live with the life with a good way, when they die really peacefully, really kind of gentle way. Always selfishness, always harming other. When they die, they always have a really struggling, misery, suffering. So in Tibet we said, seeing the sinful person's death is the best teacher of low causality. Because at that time you see truly result of how result of a being bad person. So that is only what actually help us, what actually is is called a belonging, our own is that whatever we did the Dharma activity, that is only we can take with us. Nothing else help beside the Dharma. So that way, this is my hard advice. So this also in the this suffering of the transmigration, as you can see in the Bardo teachings. So in the Bardo teachings, what is explaining is what kind of suffering is it? When our element is dissolving, then also perishing all the channel, chakra of channels, which is a function all the wind. So that way it's called the suffering of the transmigration or suffering of the dying, because those channels are kind of literally, they are dying, like when we die with weapons, they cut off, destroy the physical body. Similarly, perishing all those channel inside. So doing the dissolution of the elements. So I think that is what it means, and no longer the consciousness will be, remain in the body once those perish or destroy the channel chakra. So that time is called the time suffering of the transmigration, or suffering of the suffering of the dying, basically. Okay, so once we died, then we'll go to intermediate state. I mean, two kind of people will not go to intermediate state or bardo. One who achieved the Dharmakaya, time of the death, great practitioner. So they don't need to go to intermediate. And the second one is a person who really do the sinful, like heinous crime. Heinous crime have no time of this intermediate state. So that way called in the Tibetan called the tsam member. Tsam member means no break. What is a break? Is for us, we have a break from the death to the birth. We have a break called the break. Its name is called the intermediate state. So the people who sinful one, or person who really highly accomplishing practitioner, they don't need to go to this state. They don't, they not go. Other than that, everyone, once it died, we go to in the bardo. So that way I said, once consciousness in the bardo is like a feather blowing by the wind. Powerless, it is blown by the wind of karma and led by the Lord of the death. Apart from the three jewels, there's no refuge. This is my heart's advice. So once we died, then we get into the Bardo realm. Bardo is a kind of like a between from this time life's death to until next life's reach. So Bardo's lifespan is 1 week. So if you can reborn, then we will reborn after the week. But if you cannot reborn, you'll die. There's small death. It's called the Bardo small death. So that has happened like 7 times, So some reborn in the first week, some reborn in the third, second, second, third, fourth. But some take like 7 weeks, like 49 days. Then basically after the 49 days, 7 times small death in the Bardo, they must reborn on somewhere. So that way, normally we said Bardo's time is 49 days. From the death to until the next rebirth. It's not necessarily everyone stay 49 days. Some people only stay for the 1 week. So in the Bardo, we are hopeless. We cannot control our own destination because there's called the karmic wind. So it's an example, is like our life is ourself is like feather. Then feather cannot go against the wind, or wind blow wherever wind directions. So feather never go to against the wind, and feather is really easy to blow, like not rock. Rock is not easy to blow. So feather is really easy to blow, and so whatever wind direction, so they take there. So similarly, we are powerless in the intermediate state, the Bardo, blown by the wind of karma. So whatever karma take, we will go there. If we did something good karma, we will go to the better rebirth. If we did something bad karma, we will reborn in the bad rebirth. So also not just only karmic wind, also Lord of the Yama. Messenger of the Yama, Lord of the death. Messenger of the Yama, they put on the neck rope and take us to the messenger, I mean the Yama. So that way, from the behind, blowing by the karmic wind, and from the front, pulling by the Lord of the Death, messenger of the Yama. They took away. So at that time, only who can help us to protect us from this suffering is a three jewels: Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. So we have to take refuge. So how it happened as if in this life we practice the Dharma, and we, from the bottom of our heart, we trust the Dharma. No matter what happened, always be rely on the Dharma. Rely on the three jewels. Whenever we have some joyful life, show the appreciation to the three jewels because of the blessing of the three jewels. And I have this all goodness in my life. Whenever we have a misery or sufferings, always rely on the three jewels. Pray to them. So once we do that one, daily our life, whenever we have experience, especially whenever we have a suffering or fears, always try to remember the three jewels. And slowly, when you have a nightmare in the dreaming, a scary dream, you will take refuge to the three jewels at that time. If you do that one in the intermediate state, you have good chance to doing that one. So when we do that one, so even you have a karma to can be reborn in the lower realm, it can change the direction. The three jewels taking refuge. So even we created this really bad karma, but once we take to the refuge to the three jewels, actually can protect us from the reborn on the lower realm, and it will help us to maybe born in the higher realm by the support of the three jewels blessing and our trust, of the faith. So this is only can happen if we do when we're alive, devotion, faith, trust, supplication, prayer through the three jewels. Then at the time of the intermediate state, we will do. If we think, okay, I will do that, but right now I don't need to rely on the three jewels because I'm doing fine. Then when you get there, you will never remember. You will forget. Because there are no time to think deep in your memory. Because when you are not thinking right now, those are regularly, they are buried. Those all memories are buried way bottom of your all those memory. Then it never come out. You will never remember. So the reason when we are alive right now, we take refuge to the three jewels. We offering to the three jewels, especially when we have a difficulty in our life. Then just pray to the three jewels. Just supplicate to the three jewels. Just take refuge to the three jewels. Then you will do same in the bardo when you have a fearsome of the Lord of the Death and fearsome of the reborn in the lower realm. When you see that your path to the going to reborn in the lower realm, when you take refuge, there's a definitely you get help. In the Bardo teaching is called the Nirmana Kaya Bardo. Okay, number 19 says, three lower realms are like an iron house with no door. There's no one is one is tormented by suffering and has no chance of liberation. Therefore, attend closely to cause and result. This is my heart's advice. So, if in this life we don't, practice Dharma, And especially, I mean, practice Dharma is not talking about lots of people think the practice Dharma mean the wearing some kind of Dharma robes and carrying the mala in the hand and reciting the mantra or do the every morning some prayer or do some ritual. That is practice Dharma. Here is a practice Dharma is a talking about something good deed, you know. So that is have to start from the heart. So with a good intention, to and physically and verbally doing something good, something positive, something, you know, meaningful of a good deed. So that is what Dharma mean. There's a lot of Dharma of the related to the Dharma is when we're talking about the Dharma. When children comes, you know, with their parents, taking care of their parent is their Dharma. Okay, so like that. Also, parent have a, you know, Dharma is a have to look after their children's. So this is one symbol, you know, small way called the mundane Dharma. So without the knowing of the what is good, what is bad in the mundane Dharma, you know, it's a spiritual Dharma, reaching to the spiritual Dharma is a little bit difficult. So we have to know the mundane Dharma. So mundane Dharma is basically being ethical, being righteous, you know, being life, living with the positive, much as can. That's called the mundane Dharma. Buddha always has said, if you harm other beings, you are not my follower, I'm not your guidance. So that is a come from the mundane Dharma. Then super mundane Dharma is mostly we focusing on the how to meditate, how to recite the mantra, and those all Winchana Bindu. I mean, there's so many practice we describing, and those are comes if we have a good super mundane Dharma. So being raised, being ethically living is called a person with the Dharma. Okay, so if we not live with that way, then we're creating the negative karma. Once we're creating the negative karma and without any kind of support of the three jewel or any guru's blessings, then when we died in the intermediate state or maybe sometime before getting into the intermediate state, we will reborn in the three lower realms, especially hell realms. So once we're reborn in the hell realms, this is like a iron house with no door. It means that it have no chance to get out of there. So you look this way, like suffering of the hell. You know, there's 8 hell. First one is called the revolving hell. Each other kill, but then when the wind come, it come back live. So it's continually doing, never kill, actually never dying. Also another hell is a crashing. So like two mountains come together and crash you like a sesame, like make it, you know, oil. Crash you, completely crash your body. But when those mountains part, your body become a bag, same. So that continually doing, but you're not dying. In here, if things like happen, you will die immediately. In the hell realm, no matter how much torture goes, it never kill you. And some hells, they cook you in the iron mental melt, you know, like a volcano fire, something like that. It cook you there continually, but you will never die. So that is what means the lower realm is like iron house with no doors. There are no escape. Because no matter how torture is suffering, it never go to die. Those torture never go to die you. So the suffering is tormented in the hell realm. You know, there's unbearable suffering. So there's no other way to liberate. It means that free from that suffering. once born there, so really difficult to reborn. So therefore, attain means to pay attention. So also mean that you really cherish of the law of causality. Like be really careful, attend closely, or being be careful or cherish of the law of causality. It means that I think basically take seriously. It's not like just some word. It's real. If you do something bad, you will be reborn in the hell. Once you're reborn in the hell, until you complete of your karma is a repany, you have no chance to free from there. So that is like so hell is a generally 3 lower realms, especially in the hell realm is a iron house with no door. Okay, then number 20, that the bliss of the higher realm is like a food mixed with the deadly poison. It has the appearance of the happiness, but it's only cause of suffering. Samsara has no essence. This is my heart's advice. So then you may think, oh, if hell is, 3 lower realm is a miserable or suffering, but in the God realm and human realm, we have a lots of joy. We have a lots of fun life. We can do lots of good things. It make us happy. There are lots of happiness in the higher realm, like God realm and human realm. So then the answer is this one, number 20. So bliss of higher realm is like food mixed with the deadly poisons. In the jewel ornament said, so in the samsara, sentient beings are tortured by the 3 type of sufferings. So we normally know without receiving Buddha's teaching, suffering, like when we have a headache, when we're sick, when we have a problem, that is a suffering we recognize. But so because of that reason, some people think, oh, I don't need to receive teaching on the suffering because I already know about the suffering. Actually, we don't know all the sufferings. There's called the two other suffering, called the suffering of change and all pervasive sufferings. So what is the all pervasive suffering mean? The naturally suffering, something there, source of all those other sufferings, which is a 5 aggregate. Long as we have this body, we are not free from the suffering. Naturally it is suffering. So that way, it's like Shantideva said, it's like a really, really sensitive skin. Like if you wound it on your skin anywhere in the part of the body, if you have a wound or cut, that area becomes really sensitive. No matter how you move your body, you feel more pain there. So you cannot do lots of things when you have that one. So you feel like pain is only there because that area is really become sensitive. Rest is don't feel that much. So that way, so this is a body is a that kind of that kind of a nature with lots of sufferings. So it's carrying on there. Yeah. So that way, that's called the all pervasive sufferings. And the suffering of change is all the joy in the samsara. So in the that is the example is put as a suffering of change is like a food mixed with the delicious food. Food mixed with the delicious food mixed with the poison. So when you're eating that food, it's delicious, really good, tastes really good, it's really delicious, it's a nutrition. But because of the mixture of the poison, and later will make you suffering from the poison, make you sick, and even sometimes it causes you to losing your life, death. So similarly, all the higher realms pleasure is like that. When you enjoy on them, you will not see the faults of what kind of a shortage come from there. But once we enjoy on that, then all the negative will arising from there. I think one thing is you can say how to negative rise from there is one thing is if we have this pleasure of samsara continually without the ending, then that's a wonderful. So how this end is that all the pleasure of samsara is a result of the good merit. But our good merit have a limitation, limited. So only we have a amount of a merit. Once we spend them, then we become empty. Then we no longer have a continuing that joyful. Then fall down to the misery. So then once you fall down from that, joyful to come to the misery, and that suffering is greater than before. So that way, it's really difficult. Like I used to live in India, and I mean, Indian air is really polluted, really dirty air. But when I live there, it's becoming used to. I have no problem traveling with the anywhere. Basically, I never get sick. I mean, I have no problem. I mean, I never get sick from that polluted air. But since I live here in US, and after like a few years, if I go back, every time I go back, I get sick. So if I have this air, I can take this, clean air to India, then for me, no problem. No matter how Indian air is dirty, I have no problem. But I cannot take this. I cannot have this continually, wherever I go. So that way, when I don't have this clean air, then problems come there. So something which is we don't have. So suffering of change is it. Like I think like 20 years ago, no one have this smartphone. Okay, no one have smartphone, and they can go to everywhere without a phone, no problem. Nowadays, even we go out of the house, go around the house, outside. If we forget our phone, feel like something missing, If there's no power, no internet, people get really frustrated. So those are suffering of change. So it's just like when you have those all the wonderful things, what you're using is like a poisonous, delicious food is eating. But one day you lose them, then you will feel the poisons effect, deadly poisons. So that way has a appearance of the happiness, but it's only cause of suffering. So that's looks happiness, but it creating more and more suffering. So why this happening? Because samsara have no essence. Essence means the truly happiness. Samsara have no good, truly good. There's always a looks good, but it's not really. So only pleasure. Every pleasure have a what calls scientific. Like when sometimes we have certain medicine, So always they have some kind of there. So this my advice is is what it's saying is don't attach. So people who mostly suffering, losing, suffering from the losing those pleasure is a joyful is a more we attach on that, we have a greater suffering. If we're less attached, have less suffering. So, so this is those all the suffering is not caused by the material. It's caused by our own attachment. So that way we have to be cut the attachment of a pleasure of samsara. Therefore, the suffering of samsara is like prison. There is no chance of happiness and freedom. There is therefore generally sadness and revulsion. This is my heart's advice. So conclusion of this, I mean, that reason there's no really true happiness in the, of course, no in the three low realm, even in the three high realm, human, demigod, God realm, there's a great torment of suffering as a torturing. So that way there's no really chance of happiness. So it's like prison. In the prison, nobody have a true happiness. Why? Because completely you lost your total freedom, and you lost your total, personal, what called the life. So you have no life actually. You're 100% controlled by someone. So you like an animal put in the cage. There's nothing can do. So that way there's no chance to of happiness in the person. If you look on the person, if you visit, even a really good person, still they have lots of suffering. Why? Because they are locked in the small area, so they cannot go anywhere else. So if they can go outside, that is the best reward for them. Even so I have one friend, some kind of like a political personal, and it said when in the person, if sometime they personal, they take out to even the they can go out. So reason is that once you lock in all just one small area, and it becomes really torture, even not physically torturing, just lock somewhere, it makes really miserable. There's no freedom. Once there's no freedom, you're not going to find any kind of happiness. So that way, no happiness. Why? Or because there's no freedom. So so therefore only sadness is there in the so that way, I mean, what is saying is that therefore we have to generate the sadness. Well, how to generate the sadness is try to see the faults of samsara. Lots of time we couldn't see the faults of samsara. Why? Because we misunderstood suffering of samsara as a joyful. We misunderstood the pain as a joy. So because of that, the suffering of samsara, we couldn't recognize it. So that way we not have sadness. So we have to recognize that one, then we will have a sadness. Once I have a sadness, and we have a revulsion of a, or renunciation of from that. So then this is my hard advice. So main point is, long as we are in the samsara, there's no true happiness. Why? Because there's no happiness because we have no freedom. Everything is not under control of ourselves. Everything is controlled by someone else. Our karma. So that reason we have no freedom. Because of the no freedom, we don't have a happiness. So that way we have to find way to free from that samsara. Is a feeling of sadness of the samsara and revulsion or renunciation from the samsara. Once I have feeling of sad, then you. Okay, now number 22. It said, the wealth belonging to the three jewels, meat and wealth as a sinful person. are like a burning ash. They carrying heavy sin and obstruction and obscure all one's virtuous qualities. Therefore, make effort to purify the meditation and recitation. This is my heart's advice. So, so here said belonging well to the three jewels. I translate that way. But in the Tibetan, it's a word. Kor means the wealth, and se means the food. So this is basically most of the time this term is using when like people who have a sick or people who have a death or people who devoter offer to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha offering. And that offering is called the korse, because of why they using that one as a saying is this a really heavy responsibility money, like somebody is giving contact job and pay you, but if you don't do the job, then take the money, you will get a lawsuit and you will get the punishment. So similarly, I think basically this is the normal term. This is used as a like whatever wealth or offering to the three jewel Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Is if other people use that, once become a really heavy negative karma. So so that way. Lots of Tibetan people have hesitate to eating even the monastery food, because they say that there is core, it means that you get kind of a negative impact from that. But this main point is actually what is saying is you take the money or anything free and you don't do job. These days lots of people like to get free things. Every time you receiving free, your karmic critic is increasing, your karmic critic debt is increasing. So critic of karma is really put in there. More you get the free things, more your debt of karma is increasing. Some point next life or later this life, you have to pay them back. So that is what it means here. It's only make you suffering, and especially that wealth offering to the Lama, offering to the monk, offering to the three jewels. When people offering, there's a really strong, have a interest or intention to have a hope, really big hope. Like people offering to the Lama, hoping to they become healthy, or when they're alive, or they're offering to the Lama when somebody family member death, so hoping to them to reborn in the higher realm. So even those Lama, no matter how high the Lama, take the wealth offering and don't do the dedication or prayer to those diseased one, they become a really big. There's one story in Tibet. One Lama, really good practitioner Lama, died. So then there's another Lama invite when the Lama died and said, please do the, after the death prayer ritual. So this Lama did whole day liberation puja. So all the monks really surprised. How come our Lama is a great Lama, great practitioner, truly accomplishing guru, but this Lama is all day doing the liberation puja. Why our Lama need the liberation? So then this Lama said, they asked, why have to be liberation puja whole day? And the Lama said, your guru get the offering from someone really sinful, who did lots of bad things in life. He get the offering from that, and he requests the prayer for this person, but he forgot to do prayer. Okay, he forgot to prayer, so that way he have this obstacle of his path to the nirvana. Have this obstacle of because of that responsibility. So that way I need to do for him this liberation puja, so that way he is free from this obstacle, so that way he can go to nirvana easily. So even those high lama, once take the offering and they don't do what they requires, it become a really heavy negative karma, even those. So that way, those have a really, big responsibility. Those offering have a great responsibility. If you cannot handle those responsibility, you have no right to, enjoy them. Like when somebody dead and they request you to please do liberation puja. If you don't do liberation puja, or if you forget, or if you don't do, or if even you do, you are not good with it, or whatever whatsoever. If you cannot take responsibility, then it's become a heavy negative for you, because you took that and you didn't do the job. So basically, it's you take that pay but didn't do the job. So then it become really heavy negative karma. One is that one. And also meat and wealth of a sinful person. Meat is also offering, it's really bad. Meat only come from the harm of animals, someone. So lots of people asking many times, we need offering talk with the meat or not, because sometimes they say you need to talk about meat. So this answer is here. Really heavy negative karma, meat offerings. Unless you can transform that meat to the nectar, and you can liberate the consciousness of that body, dead body's consciousness to the pure land, then you can use them, you can enjoy them. Otherwise, you cannot, enjoy, or you cannot use them as an offering. Then same with the sinful person's wealth. If wealth is offering by the really sinful person, have a really heavy negative karma from that. Because whatever that sinful person did bad things, when you take their wealth, you are involved of their action. You are involved, connected with their heavy negative karma. Like when somebody is falling down in the water, because that body have a really heavy things carrying, so that way they sinking in the water. If that person's one rope cut on your feet or on your part of the body, when the person is sink down, you will go with that person too. Even the heavy object is not tied with your body, because the piece of rope cut from that person's cut on your leg or arm somewhere, so that way it take you down with that. So similarly, if sinful person's wealth is an offering, and in the Buddhism, we normally call this called the wrong livelihood. Anything is offering or the negatively created is really bad. So you're not allowed to offering to the three jewels monks. If you offering to them, as you said, they said was a sinful or wrong livelihood. So this is like that kind of a meat, sinful persons of wealth, and wealth that belong to the three jewels. If you enjoy them, it's like taking burning ash. If you eat the burning ash, it will burn your mouth, it will burn your stomach. So they carry heavy sin and obstruction and obscure all of the virtuous quality. Therefore, make effort to purifying the meditation and recitation of this heart's advice. So we have to purify it. How to purify it is meditate on the bodhicitta, meditate on the compassion, meditate on the emptiness, or recite or any kind of other matter to purify it if we involve those one. So there's one story. Holiness Gyawan Drukpa have a book called My Crazy Trail or something. That's his Crazy Trail or something. That's a book in English and Tibetan. And one chapter he said black money. On a chapter, in the chapter title is called the black money. So black money is this talking about this one. You know, the jewel wealth is belong to the three jewel or something. So there's one story. He invited really highly good practitioner, I mean, a really good practitioner, Lama, to give some empowerment and teaching to his monastery. Then after the teaching and empowerment is finished, he requests to this Lama, please stay a few days, rest here. First, he said, yes, I will stay. But then next day, tomorrow morning, and that Lama said, I cannot stay here because you're all the money, what you use in me is a black money, which means the core Tibetan, is like a heavy negative because those all high Lama, whatever they get of money is not come easily. It's all the money offering to them, because their people have some problem, you know, some health problem, some death one, some sick one, and some always say there's with the heavy hope they offering. Yeah, so that reason they have he used as a black money. It's a name similar like a black market money, similar there. So that way they have a great dangers of our spiritual practice. So you have to be careful to enjoying this kind of. So here's they mentioned three things. Jewel belong to the three. Wealth belong to the three jewels, like somebody offering to the temple, somebody offering to the sangha, somebody offering to the text. So when somebody offering to the Buddha, only can use in the Buddha's need, the temple. When somebody offering for the text, money, whatever comes for the money text, whatever you have to use for the text. When money offered to the sangha should use for the sangha, nothing else. So that way, this have to be really careful on those trees. Okay, we stop here. Thank you. Janjoy sem joy Rinpoche ma ye ba na ye joy ye ba nyam ba mem ba kone kondo pe wai jo tada konde tham je tu sundo sabada ye be je ve savande Tata Senje Taje Nyondolana Maba Yanda Basobe Janju Rinpoche Toba Joje Shija Kunse Kunje Chuje Tendene La Wanda Jagomba Renje Beje Temba Sid Shetu Tusan Gombe Zenjo. Okay, thank you everyone. See you Saturday. We'll gain that renunciation.